नहीं देखिले स्ट्रीमर अब छाड़ दियंतु स्ट्रीमर टा खाली ऑन माने देई देले कि लाइन कहि देले म आरंभ कर देबी
मो कथा सुबुची
हां
आज्ञा माने
हां सर सुबुची
सर आरंभ करन
नमस्कार
वर्तमान रास्ता उपरे नमस्कार
let's start today's webinar with three omkars and shanti patha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinabadhitam Astu Ma Vidvisavahai Om Santi Santi Santi. I, on behalf of Vivekananda Kendra Academy for Indian Culture, Yoga and Management, in short AICYAM, extend a warm welcome to Professor Devi Prasad Mishra, the speaker of today's webinar. I welcome my sisters and brothers of AICYAM who are with me and will help me in conduct of this webinar. Mananya Dr. Geeta Rani Padhi, Coordinator Management Subcommittee, Professor Nirmal Chandra Das, Coordinator Indian Culture Committee, Sri Anup Kumar Mahapatra, Member, Management Committee. And I welcome all the participants of today's webinar. As many of the participants may be new to BKIKM, I will take a minute or two to give a brief introduction of BKIKM. BKIKM is a project of management Vivekananda Kendra, Kanyakumari. It started in the year 1972 to channelize the innate spiritual laws of our people into works of national reconstruction. So the main aim of Vivekananda Kendra is man making and nation building. To achieve this purpose, it works throughout India in the fields of yoga, culture, education, rural development, natural resource development, publication, etc. BKIKM, its project was inaugurated 2 years back, that is 12th January 2020. It thrives to become Eastern India's regional center for research, resource, and training in the fields of culture, yoga, and management. Besides Odisha, it covers West Bengal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Andhra, and Telangana. Under management, it focuses on and utilize management ideas contained in our ancient scriptures to make the modern management flourish in practice and achievement. Before I finish, I must inform you that after the speaker of today's webinar finishes his speech, there will be a question and answer session. Participants interested to ask questions can send their questions through chat box. With these few words, I once again welcome you all and request Mananiya Dr. Geeta Rani Padhi to introduce the theme of the topic today, management lessons from Bhagavad-Gita. Didi, Geeta Didi.
दीदी आपण म्यूट अछंती
Yeah. Namaskar and good morning to everyone. Today, AICYAM is organizing a program on management lessons from Gita. Dr. Devi Prasad Mishra is with us to enlighten before us on the topic. As we know, Bhagavad-Gita is a scripture with literally meaning the song of God. Written in the year 4000 BC, 400 BC by Maharshi Vedvyas, and it proclaims you must try to manage yourself. This is very important in our life. It teaches the principles that relates to work, life, religion, philosophy, and spirituality. As we know, the Holy Scripture is a set of narrative framework of dialogue between Pandav Yodha Arjun and his chariot guide Lord Sri Krishna. In today's world, whether it is an industry, whether it is an institution, whether it is an organization, or even say it is a home front, we are guided by certain management principles. And most of these management principle is already drawn in our old scriptures, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Gita, and other scriptures also. So today, forming a vision, strategy, formation, wisdom, leadership building, innovative ideas of any organization, developing human resources, team and teamwork, delegation of responsibility, motivation, communication. These are the basic principles of management. Like Arjun, the Pandav Yodha, he had skill, but he doesn't had a willpower to fight for his own people, fight with his own people. To enhance his willpower, Lord Krishna had to motivate him. And when Arjun said, it's more difficult to control the mind than to control the wind, and it's a fact of life. Bhagavad Gita, written 1,000 years ago, that teaches management techniques that leads towards harmonious and blissful start of affairs. In place, there are a lot of conflict arises in any management system, like in planning, in productivity management, and so on, in marketing, and whatever you can face in the system. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us that how to take and solve all these issues in the grassroots level. If we don't take proper action in proper time, then instead of solving the problems, we invite more and more issues. So every action has to be taken in time is the basic principle of management, and that we can learn from Gita. Also, Gita teaches us one good thing: good actions produces good result, and evil begets evils. Therefore, let's all do well, and let's develop our willpower to do well and serve well. If you go to today's management is nothing but to get the things done. It is things are done in a very effective and efficient way through various physical and financial sources of utilization. And I believe whatever many obstacles comes on the way of our management system, and we learn how to solve these obstacles from all our scriptures, especially Gita, Ramayana, and all these Mahabharata. Right path will and with a good right path, willpower, and perseverance. These are the three things which plays a very important role from in our life. And today, let's learn all these lessons from Gita. Dr. Devi Prasad Mishra is here with us to explain us to solve how to solve the issues which comes in our life, and to teaches us how to manage an institution, organization, or any home front very efficiently and effectively. With this, I welcome you all to this program, and I thank you all for your patience hearing. Namaskar.
Now request Professor Nirmal Chandra Das to introduce our speaker today, Professor Devi Prasad Mishra.
Hello.
Professor Das.
Hello.
Okay. You
Am
are
I
audible.
audible?
Yes, audible.
Thank you very much. Namaskar to all, and welcome to the management lessons from Gita. I am thankful to the authorities for selecting me to introduce a great professor, Professor Devi Prasad Mishra. Professor Mishra is known to me since last 2 decades. He is not only a wonderful person, so far the management is concerned, he has published more than 20 books. He has guided more than 50 PhD, DLET and MPhil scholars. And he has officiated as Vice Chancellor in his capacity when he was the professor of Fakirmore University Department of Business Administration. He was 2 times chairman PG Council. He was 2 times syndicate member. What a prolific writer, prolific supervisor, and a prolific speaker. And he has delivered a lot of speeches, online speeches and physical speeches. He will be very glad to listen him today. And he has waited for a week to give his address on Bhagavat, the lessons from Bhagavad-Gita, the management principles or management lessons. As Madam Geeta told, the management is such a vast field, and they learn, they gather strength from various aspects, from Gita, from Mahabharata, from lot of. So today, I welcome Professor Mishra. With this short introduction, I thank everybody and hand over the mic to our chief coordinator, Professor Basudev Chatoi. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our honorable speaker today, Professor Mishra, to deliver his speech. Professor Mishra.
আসছে পুরা
Not audible.
Sir, you are on mute.
No, mute, not audible.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, now audible.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namaskar. Good morning, respected Professor Vasudev Chatoi sir, respected Professor Nirmal Das sir, respected Dr. Geeta Madam, respected Sri Lakshmi Narayana Panigrai sir, and other distinguished members and participants. At the outset, I express my deep sense of gratitude for giving me the opportunity to deliver a talk on the management lessons from Geeta. Of course, I'm a professor of management, but to what extent I will correlate the management lessons to Geeta, I'm in a dilemma. Anyway, I will try to do my job to a best possible manner. And now, let me tell about the Gita management and what is the relation between these two, and how the lessons from Gita will help us in managing the different aspects of life. Those things I will cover. Now, come to the first. Bhagavad Gita, as you know, is the supreme holy book in the Hindu philosophy. Here, Lord Krishna, through this, teaches not only Arjuna but also the entire world the deep universal truth of life that speaks to the need and aspirations of everyone. Arjuna got mentally very depressed when he saw his relatives in the battlefield against whom he had to fight. To motivate him, Bhagavad Gita was preached by Lord in the battlefield of Kurukshetra to do his the noble duty. In this context, there are some important lessons of Bhagavad Gita, which I think has practical relevance to management also. Now, in brief, first of all, let us know what is Bhagavad Gita, then what management is all about, and finally, what is the relation that exists between these two, Bhagavad Gita as well as management. Now, coming to the Bhagavad Gita, as we know that Bhagavad Gita is known as the Song of Lord, is the 700 verses conversation between Lord Krishna and Pandava Prince Arjuna, where Lord Krishna enlightens Arjuna by his words of truth and wisdom about the right way of living, that is the dharma, and resolves all his mental dilemma in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where where the epic war between Pandavas and Kauravas was about to start. These incidents, of course, took place about 5,200 years ago, and it has still its own significance in this modern world, particularly in the discipline of management. Now, coming to the management, what is that management? Many authors, they defined management differently based on their researches, studies, and understanding. Theoretically, when we say that management is the art of getting things done by others in an effective and efficient manner by using various physical and financial resources. But management is more than what the so-called definition says. It is actually the essence of every aspects of human life, where it is professional or personal or societal. Now, the role of manager is very, very important and crucial in an organization. A good management can lead uh, an organization towards the peak of its success and vice versa. So this is what is we know that management is. Now, what is the relationship between Bhagavad Gita and the management? If you look at these two aspects, there exists relation, definitely. Bhagavad Gita is related to the enhancement of an individual's efficiency and effectiveness towards a desired goal. It also propagates the fear and it changes the weakness into strength of an individual, shares the responsibilities, consulting the mentors, the need for a charismatic leader who inspires, motivates, and tells the ground level reality to them. On the other hand, management comes into picture when a group of people comes together to work towards a common objective or a goal. So here, the duty of the manager is to get things done effectively and efficiently by his subordinates, as Dr. Madam Geeta already told. In every circumstances, a manager has to balance between all the available resources, that is both physical as well as human, and how to utilize them most efficiently in an optimum manner. So, With this, now let us see what are the management lessons that we can took from Bhagavad Gita. A number of lessons are there, but here, of course, I will focus on few of them. The most important lessons we get from Bhagavad Gita are like this. Number one is the dedication to work. I'll quote, a popular verse of Gita advises the detachment of expectations of desired outcomes from completing any work. That is, there is a sloka, karmane paidikarastu ma phaleshu kadachana. Here, to work alone, you have the right, but not on the fruits. Do not be impelled by the fruits of work, nor have any attachment to the inaction. Similarly, here also in management, an individual in the organization or a manager in the organization should focus in accomplishing the work in the right spirit, but not on the outcomes of fruit to enjoy from that work. We have the right on the work, not on the result. So that is very, very important lesson we can get it from Bhagavad Gita. The second one is very important, that is selfless work. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advises Arjuna to fight the battle for the betterment of the universe. He reminded Arjuna the purpose of war, which is for the betterment of world towards the right way of living, that is the dharma, not for his own benefit, nor for satisfying his own greed or desires. Therefore, when you come to in a management field, in any organization, whether it is a business organization or a philanthropic organization, every individual or manager should work
It's private
by
chat also.
subordinating his individual interest before the organizational interest. One should not be selfish towards his attaining his own objective. Rather, that must be a secondary. Primary objective is to see that the organizational interest is protected. So here we have to work selfless. Third one is the work as identity. We have to work to identify ourselves. Here also, Bhagavad Gita says that a human's identity is not defined by his caste, color, or the family he belongs, but a human's identity is defined by his own actions. That is, the way he behaves with the others. It is also equally applicable to the management that an individual's identity in an organization, an individual's identity is identified by his own capabilities, his own work, and his behavior with his superiors, subordinates, peers, and others also. So that is very important. We have to identify ourselves with our work, our deed. That is very, very important. It's a very important lesson given to us from Bhagavad Gita. The next one is keep emotional intelligence. Bhagavad Gita also says that one should not get overconfident from his own or from his or her small victories, or even should not feel so depressed after very small failures. Rather, one should constantly work. One should constantly work towards achieving the objective. Similarly, in management, one must continue to work towards achieving the objective and betterment of the organizations against all odds. So that is we have to keep our emotional intelligence. Then the next important lesson is accept the change. Of course, this is very, very important. Everybody is not anyone. If you say that there is a change, you have to accept. Initially, he will decline. He will not say yes to the change. That is, Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that a person who has fear of change detracts himself from the right way of living, again the dharma, and does unethical works or actions. If there is a change, nobody is prepared to accept that change. But change is there. In this dynamic world, change is, of course, that will be there. But we have to accept that change. A person in an organization, a manager in an organization should not fear for the change. Rather, it has to accept the change. Then only the organization will flourish. The next important lesson is intention should be clear. Our intention should be clear. In this connection, Lord Krishna says that intention is the essence to get the desired goals. Any work with good intention is always accomplished with desired goals. You have the good intention, then only you can achieve the desired result. Whatever you have said, that goal can be achieved. So here in management also, the manager's intention towards the goal should be very, very clear. It should be very crystal clear and achievable, which of course differentiates him from others. A manager should have a clear intention. If the intention is not clear, then you may adopt any tactics, you may adopt any strategy that will result not in achieving the desired result. Then the next important lesson is stable mind. And here I can say that stable mind is a key to success. In the battlefield, in the middle of the battlefield, Lord Krishna says that human life is like a battle within mind and soul. A human must keep his mind stable to analyze the situation and can make effective decision in order to win the situation. In the same manner, in the same way, a manager should also try to keep his mind calm and take effective decision to overcome any challenge. So these above important lessons clearly indicates that Bhagavad Gita transfers the ideal philosophy of karma, that is our human actions. It is the narration, of course, it is the narration by Lord Krishna in explaining the significance of human actions and the results thereof. I quote, each individual in the universe has his own potential to the infinity. It is the responsibility of every human being to identify that potential and achieve excellence in their respective profession. To do so, one must not distract his path from the right way of living and should not involve into unethical code of conduct. So, an individual should constantly do his work without worrying about its possible outcomes. So, every action should be done with an objective to do so for the betterment of the society. After all, an individual's identity is from his actions. As I said earlier, we have to maintain our identity, and that identity can be achieved with our own action. So, here in any organization, the organizations are responsible for the betterment of the employees. They must be motivated to do the work in an effective and efficient manner in this competitive world. So these are the few important lessons. Those are we can take it from the Bhagavad Gita. Now, coming to the next important issue, that is important management guidelines. These are the lessons so we can uh, get it from Bhagavad Gita, and there are few important guidelines. Those are there in also Bhagavad Gita, and how we can follow these guidelines. That I want to highlight some important points. The first important one is forming a vision. Any organization, it must have a vision. What to do for the coming period. Either it may be short run period or long run period. We must have the vision. If that vision is not there, then there is no possibility of achieving the organizational goals. So first one is forming the vision. It may be short run vision or long run vision, but vision must be there. And how to achieve that vision, we must plan. We have a planning, that having the strategy to realize the vision. We can say, in order to achieve that vision, we must have the mission. Mission and vision, these are the two important things. Then the third important thing is cultivating the art of leadership. One has to become the leader, and under him there are followers, and the leadership must be there. Otherwise, he cannot lead the organization. So, cultivate, how to cultivate the art of leadership. There are many in management, there are many, say, leadership styles, leadership theories like great man theory, trait theory, behavioral theory, transactional theory, many theories, situational theories. There are many theories are there. But anyway, my point is that without having a proper leadership, the organization cannot run. That is the third important. And the next one is establishing institutional excellence. Whatever we want to do, we must keep in our mind that the image, the reputation of the organization should be maintained. Establishing institutional excellence. And here we have to do such things that the image and reputation of the organization should be maintained. And the next one is building an innovative organization. Here we have to say develop new ideas, new thoughts. These are coming out of innovations. Creativity must be there. So innovative, without innovative ideas, without innovative thoughts, organizations cannot be built. That is very, very important. Then next one is developing human resources. Human resources very, very important in an organization. We time and again we have to see that the human resources are developed, and this development of resources can be possible by giving them adequate exposures, and by giving them proper training, etc. and etc. Apart from that, the other guideline is building team and teamwork. In you see, in any organization there are many people working. Even in the large organization, thousand and thousand workers, employees are working in the organization. If you do not have that team, if you won't build a team, if we won't inculcate the sense of teamwork, then the organization cannot flourish. So here, the important guideline for management, that is from again from Bhagavad Gita, is building the teams and teamwork. And finally, the delegation, motivation, and communication. That is very important. We cannot do everything. as far as possible, we have to delegate our duties, responsibilities to our subordinates. Mere delegation is not enough. We have to motivate them to work the job, to perform the job in a better manner. And for that, motivation is also necessary. And apart from that, communication must be perfect. There should not be one-way communication. Rather, there should be two-way communication. In management, we see that many times we find there is a lack of communication. Suppose the boss says something and the subordinate won't listen, or there is some communication block, or the subordinate says something, the boss won't listen. So in this way, the organization cannot perform. So here, what is important that the channel of communication must be very, very clear. What are the boss says, it must be properly communicated to the subordinate, and subordinate in return, what he says to the boss, that must be also properly communicated. So delegation, motivation, and communication, these are the three important things that must be properly followed. Then only the organization will flourish. And apart from that, the last important thing is reviewing the performance and taking corrective steps or measures when called for. That means we are doing a lot of works in the organization, but unless we review the performance, whether the subordinates they are doing the work properly or not, how can we know? We have to review them. Once you review the performance of the subordinates, then only we can know whether the things are moving in a right direction or not. Suppose there are certain problems, there are certain lacunas, and measures must be taken to eradicate those problems. So these are the some of the important management guidelines we can pick up from the Bhagavad-Gita. And apart from the, I can say there are three important principles. They can also be taken from Bhagavad-Gita for effective management. One is the leadership. I will just tell them in a brief manner. One is leadership. Second one is the motivation, and the third one is decision making. These are the three important items. Uh, we can say these are the three important principles. Th- These are also there in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, I'll tell you about these three important principles. The first one is leadership. Leadership, a critical management skill, is the ability to motivate a group of people towards a common goal. Leadership, a critical management skill which ensures the employees to motivate to achieve the common goal. And here, it is necessary for a leader to be visionary and seek the way forward. In this connection, I quote, one of the issues that Lord Krishna emphasizes to Arjuna is the issue of leadership. If you go through the Bhagavad Gita, in several chapters in the Gita, that is chapter 2 to chapter 14, there are interesting references to the quality of leadership. If we carefully analyze them, study them, these chapters, there are three important, interesting issues. What are they? The number one is strong need to lead by example. Everybody can lead. Everybody is interested to lead, but the lead must be backed by strong willpower. Strong need to lead by example. That is very important. Second one is importance of developing a high degree of equanimity. That is the composure. Importance of developing a high degree of equanimity. And the third one is understanding the principle of mutual dependence. One should not become independent. Independent means I will do, I will not take the help of others. That is not the way. A leader, when he is leading the team, he must also depend on his followers. And of course, the followers will depend on the leader. If there is mutual dependence, then only the leaders will become very fruitful. So, even though there are many theories on leadership, still the above points, that is strong need to lead by example, importance of developing a high degree of equanimity, understanding the principle of mutual dependence. These are the three core ingredients for making the leadership an effective one. So this is very important principle, leadership. Second one is motivation. What is that motivation? Motivation is the driving force which causes us to achieve the goals. Motivation is the driving force. It acts as a catalyst to achieve the goal. So here I tell you, motivation is of two types. One is intrinsic and another one is extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation refers to the motivation that is driven by an interest or enjoyment in the task itself and exists within the individual rather than relying on the external pressure. On the other hand, extrinsic motivation comes from outside the individual. That is common. Extrinsic motivations are rewards like money, the grades, etc. and etc. And particularly this situation is well explained in the Bhagavad Gita. That is the theory of self transcendence. Self transcendence. Self transcendence means renouncing egoism, putting others before oneself, emphasizing teamwork, dignity, cooperation, harmony, trust, and so on and so forth. The essence of motivation is well explained in the Bhagavad Gita, that is chapter 2, verse 47. I quote, "You certainly have a right to prescribed activities, but never at any time in their result. You should never be motivated by the results of the action, nor there any attachment in not doing your prescribed activities." Means here, what I want to say that in any organization, people are working, but sometimes they become uh, sometimes they become lethargic, sometimes they become monotonous in their work. But in order to avoid such things, the organization should motivate. Motivate will urge them to perform in a better manner. Without motivation, it may be kind, case, kind, monetary, non-monetary, whatever may be the form. Once we give them some motivation, some kind of motivation, then only they can work. So for an organization, motivation is very, very important. So leadership, then motivation, and the third one is decision making. So what is the decision? A decision is a choice. There are many options, many alternatives, but we have to pick up the right one. The right one that is selected is our decision. So one has to take a right decision out of a number of alternatives. In the chapter 17th, sloka 28th of Bhagavad-Gita, it is said that whenever we do without faith is useless. So before taking any decision, always think that, does it seem right to you? And do you have a strong belief in it? So this is very important. First of all, let us ask ourselves, that is, does it seem right to you? And do you have a strong belief in it? Then only you can move forward. Take a realistic decision and have a firm belief in yourself and the Lord. Then only you can take a right decision. So here also, in business organization or in any organization, the managers have to take right decisions which will benefit the organization as a whole. So these are some of the important issues I want to tell. If we look at all these issues, it can be informed. It can be concluded from the above discussion that Bhagavad-Gita has a strong message to the management discipline. And if the lessons of Bhagavad-Gita and practice, if they are properly, in a holistic manner, they are properly practiced by the modern managers, definitely they can achieve success in every front. Now, before concluding, let me put forth some important ethics for meaningful life. Of course, there are 6 important ethics of meaningful life. I'm not talking of just management in general. First one is, before you pray, believe. Without belief, praying is meaningless. Before you speak, listen. That means first give priority to the listening. Then only you speak. Before you spend, earn. Without earning, how can you spend? So before you spend, earn. Before you write, think. Whatever you are going to write, before that you have to think what I am going to write. Similarly, before you quit, try. Without trying, without having any labor, if you want to quit, then there is no meaning. Similarly, the last one is, before you die, live. Live, L-I-V, live. So, with these valuable words, I conclude my presentation. Once again, I extend my deep sense of gratitude to all the esteemed members and participants for giving me a patient hearing. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namaskar.
Thank you, Professor Mishra.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Mishra, for your valuable speech. You have described what is Bhagavad-Gita and what is modern management, and you have brought out the relevance between the two. Thank you very much. Now I request Sri Anup Kumar Mahapatra to handle the question and answer session. It will be up to 11:59. Professor Sri Mahapatra.
Unmute. না এটি করা হয়নি, এটি করে ছাড়িলে আনমিউট, এটি কলে হউনি, সে মিউট আছে।
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mishra, for this wonderful talk on the management principles, taking a cue from the Gita. So there are a few questions in this direction which has come from the audience. The first one is how the modern generation, the non-believer, can be motivated and communicated about the efficacy of Gita.
Sir, again, sir.
How the modern generation, the non-believer, can be motivated and communicated about the efficacy of Gita.
First of all, they have to be motivated. So, what type of motivation they actually need? You see, in management, we have motivation theories. We can motivate the employees by giving them monetary aspects and non-monetary aspects. First of all, we have to study the person, the so-called non-believers or non-performance, actually what is their requirement. We have to study them. Then accordingly we have to motivate. Directly we cannot teach the Gita because they won't believe. So first of all, our priority is that what kind of motivation they require. That is very important. So without going to the root cause, we cannot take the remedial measures. So the person who requires motivation, what type of motivation is needed, that we have to find out. Then only we can cure them.
Okay. The next question is also related to the same thing, that in today's materialistic world, how can you cultivate this culture of intrinsic motivation of employees in an organization, which is a very difficult thing. But what can be the possible learning lessons from any organization to inculcate this habit, which is very difficult, of course?
Yeah, of course, it is very, very difficult because of the intrinsic value that is intangible. First of all, we should have what you call a faith, a sort of faith we must develop. Faith in the sense God is there, the superpower is there. If we do not have that in our mind, then whatever the measures we can take, that will not give any result. So my point is that amar jo gote atma परमात्मा এই ସବୁ এই ଜିନିଷ ଉପରେ ଯଦି ଆମେ କିଛିଟା ଯଦି ଇଏ କରିବା ନାହିଁ, ମାନେ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାନ୍ସ ଦେବା ନାହିଁ, ଦେନ୍ ମୁଁ ଭାବୁଛି ସେଇ ଟାଇପର କିଛି ରେମେଡିଆଲ ମେଜର ଆସିବ ନାହିଁ ଯୋଉଟାରେ କି ଆପଣ ୟୁ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ଡେଭଲପ ଦି ଇଣ୍ଟ୍ରିନ୍ସିକ୍ ମୋଟିଭେସନ। ସୋ ପ୍ରଥମେ ଆମକୁ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ ଯେ ଭଗବାନ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ସୃଷ୍ଟି ତାଙ୍କ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଚାଳିତ ହେଉଛି, ସେଇ ଜିନିଷଟା ନ ଆସିଲା କି ଆମ ପାଖରେ ସେ ଇଣ୍ଟ୍ରିନ୍ସିକ୍ ମୋଟିଭେସନ ଆସିବନି। ଆମେ ये जो materialistic society, we are driven by the materialistic society. We want this, that, all these things are just Maya Bajar. So we must develop that intrinsic values, and that can be only developed having a faith on the God.
So taking a cue from your statements, can this be more relevant that can we make the teachings of Gita being integrated to the course curriculum right from
Yes, sir. In many universities, of late, they have introduced this Gita lessons. Of course, there is no specific topic like Gita, but the lessons from Gita, they are now included in the management curriculum in Premier Management Institute. Even some of the professors, eminent professors of IIMs, they have written also books on those lessons, and they are now in the course curriculum. That is, of course,
Yeah.
ମାନେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେ ସବୁ ବି ଆସିଗଲାଣି.
One of the other questions which has come directly in the concept of the war, if Karna can be killed without any weapon, the prevalent ethics didn't time, how can this be a relation in the modern management?
It is very difficult to answer because you see, Lord Krishna, the Supreme, he was there in the middle of the war field, battlefield. So, ଭଗବାନଙ୍କର ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଅଛି, ମାନେ କର୍ଣ୍ଣ କେମିତି ମରିବ, ପିତାମହ କେମିତି ମରିବେ, ସେ ସବୁ ଆଗରୁ ଆଜ୍ଞା ସେ ସବୁ ହେଇଯାଇଛି. And just it is a ମାନେ ଅର୍ଜୁନ ଇଜ ଏ ୱେପନ୍, ସବୁ କରି କରାଉଥାଉ ମୁହିଁ ମୋ ବିନା ଅନ୍ୟ ଗତି ନାହିଁ. ଭଗବାନ ସେ ସବୁ କରିସାରିଛନ୍ତି, କିନ୍ତୁ ସେଇଠି କର୍ଣ୍ଣ କେମିତି ମରିବ, ଇଏ କେମିତି ମରିବ, ସେ ସବୁ ଅଲରେଡି ହେଇଯାଇଛି. ନାଇଁ, ଆପଣଙ୍କର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଟା କଣ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଥିଲା?
If Karna can be killed without any weapon, which is the ethics in the prevailing war at that point of time, whether this can be a lesson in the modern management. That means ethics. The basic concept is that these ethics, can this be an integral part of the modern management?
ଏଇଟା ତ
Because
ମୁଁ
today, or if you look into the entire modern management concepts or even the organizational management also, ethics is not being given due privilege or weightage.
yes,
So,
yes.
so learning, yeah, so that how can that ethics be integrated deeply into the modern management?
মানে ethics, nobody is prepared to follow the ethics. Everybody wants to become rich overnight through unethical means. So it is a very, very difficult task to follow ethics. Even nowadays, I can say 95% or more than that, they are corrupt. They are doing unethical things. So, overnight, we cannot change the behavior, the attitude of people. It will take time. Of course, people involvement is necessary. Without the
Yeah.
involvement of people, it cannot be done. So,
Yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree. So taking a cue again from that, the other question also is a related one. Whether the village Bhagavat Prungi, which was prevalent more or less now totally extinct, but can that be rejuvenated all across, not only in the villages, but elsewhere also, to share and spread these teachings of Gita?
so
Whether
that
this
is
will be a viable
possible, I think.
proposition.
This is very good suggestion, idea, suggestion. Now we have to take, ମାନେ ଆମେ ହିଁ ଏଇଟାକୁ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ. ଆମେ ଯଦି ଚାହିଁବା, ଯଦି ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ will take care of, government won't take, because they are doing politics from different angle, as all of us know. But my point is, like the organizations, with these organizations we can move. ମାନେ ଆମକୁ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଗାଁ ଗହଳିରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେଟା ଲୋପ ହେଇ ଆସିଲାଣି. ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେଇଟାକୁ ଆମକୁ ପ୍ରିଜର୍ଭ କରିବାକୁ ପଡିବ, ଇଭେନ୍ ଥ୍ରୁ ସମ୍ ଏସୋସିଏସନ୍ସ, ଥ୍ରୁ ଦମ୍ ଫିଲାନ୍ଥ୍ରୋପିକ୍ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ୍ସ. ଏଇଟା ଆମେ କରିପାରିବା, କିନ୍ତୁ କରିପାରିବା ମାନେ କ'ଣ, କିଏ, who will get the bail the cat? That is the question. So we must come forward, because our society, आमर जो कल्चर रिच ये सब अच्छी सो ताकू आम प्रिजर्व करिया पड़े वी हैव टू कम फॉरवर्ड टू सेव दैट बिफोर इट गोज डाइंग extinct we have to take steps to revive them again. It is possible. Even upon देखुथिबे even some towns also there are विभिन्न दासकाठिया हो कि नाच गीत ये सब जगह होउची बट ए जो टिके अल्प ये होची we have to it's a collective effort so जदि लोक चाहिमे पुणी हेई परिबो आउ सेइथरे ही आमे भगवत गीता सेइथरो लेसन ए सब जगह we can preach and that is for the good for the benefit of the society it is possible we can do it.
And the last question is, what is the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? So this is the last question.
Efficiency effectiveness ऊपर आज्ञा तार actual difference टा कौन मु भी कहि परिबि नै किंतु आमे कौन माने सेटा को interchangeable actually use करूछु. Sometimes we use efficiently, sometimes we use them effectively, efficiently कहि दोछु. Actually तार actually मु भी तार ये एतटा मु कहि परिबि नै. But I have to see.
Yeah, thank you very much. Back to Chattoy sir.
Thank
Chattoy
you, sir.
Yeah. Chattoy sir, thank you very much. Dr. Misra has answered all the questions which has come on the chat box. So over to you.
And I request you to extend a vote of thanks.
Okay.
Anup bhai.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's a wonderful deliberations from Dr. Misra on the topics of management lessons from Geeta, guiding the modern management. As Geeta is absolutely rich in all these concepts and ethics is the backbone of the entire management principles. Though in modern management, this has not been, particularly in the materialistic world and modern management, this has not been given due importance. But this is a time-tested principle which has been amply narrated. The three principles, the leadership, motivation, and the decision making, and the leadership attributes also. All these things are absolutely being amply narrated by Dr. Misra, taking the context from the Gita. It is only the matter of practice that has to be ensured in the organizations, in the management schools. So what, in my own personal view, is that in the management schools, even not only the management schools, even all the course curriculums, starting from, let us say, standard 5 or onwards, there has to be some lessons keeping the ethics and the Indian scriptures as part, and so that the management guidelines can be deeply embedded into the mindset of the children also, and not only the children, also to the youth. Then we can have a dream India again coming into our future in the next few decades. So that's it, the dream. So keeping this few thoughts, I once again thank Dr. Misra for this wonderful deliberations, and thank Vivekananda Kendra also, the academy here also, AICYAM, and the authorities here to take these deliberations forward. And we'll be continuously ensuring that all these deliberations will be our part of our regular activities. So that, because this is also one of our aim, that some amount of research will be undertaken on the management principles, because today's youth also, they are completely disintegrated and getting westernized, compromising our own rich cultural heritage. So how can we bring back all these concepts to their mindset and again develop a wonderful India? So that is also one of the aim of this Kendra. So thanks once again to all participants, Dr. Misra, the committee members, and the organizers in the Kendra also who have facilitated the technology. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, namaskar.
Anup bhai. Now we are coming to a concluding session. Now we'll close it by chanting Santi Mantra. Sarve
রয়ে গেল।